Hi everyone, I hope you are all well and in the best of health. Welcome back to this channel. Zaid here, and today we will dive into a very fascinating story from history. A story of a people who thrived thousands of years ago, yet whose mysteries still shape how we think about early civilizations. Our topic is the Minoan Civilization. It existed on the island of Crete, deep in the Mediterranean Sea, long before the rise of classical Greece. The Minoans lived around 3000 BCE to roughly 1100 BCE, and they created a culture so advanced, so colorful, that many later societies looked back at them in awe. What made the Minoans different from others of their time was their location. Crete sits at a crossroads between Europe, Asia, and Africa. This meant the Minoans were not just farmers or builders, they became great sailors and traders. Their ships crossed seas, bringing in copper, tin, and ivory, while exporting olive oil, wine, and beautifully crafted pottery. This seafaring lifestyle allowed them to connect with Egypt, with the Levant, and even with early Greek lands. One striking feature was their grand palaces, most famously Knossos, a massive complex filled with storerooms, workshops, and colorful frescoes. Unlike dark stone forts, built in other ancient regions, Minoan palaces had open courtyards, flowing water systems, and walls decorated with dolphins, lilies, and dancers. It gave a sense that their culture was filled with life, movement, and art. The term Minoan itself was not what they called themselves. It was given by modern archaeologists, inspired by King Minos, a legendary ruler from Greek myths. In fact, some stories of the Labyrinth and the Minotaur may have their roots in real memories of Minoan Crete. Before we move to our today, I want to say that this channel is user-friendly, no offensive content, no misinformation. We explain things with respect, curiosity, and authenticity. When we look closer at the daily life of the Minoan people, we find a society that was both practical and artistic. Unlike many ancient civilizations, where war and kingship were always at the center, the Minoans seemed to value trade, festivals, and community. Evidence shows that women held important roles. In frescoes, we see them painted as equals, dressed in vibrant garments, sometimes leading ceremonies. Some scholars believe that Minoan religion had strong female deities, often linked to nature, animals, and fertility. The snake goddess figurines, with raised arms and flowing skirts, are among the most famous finds. Minoan architecture also reveals their advanced way of living. At Knossos, Phaistos, and other palace sites, they built with multiple stories, wooden columns, and colorful stone. Their water management was centuries ahead of its time, with clay pipes, drainage systems, and even flushing toilets. Such technology suggests that comfort and cleanliness were a priority in their society. The people of Crete loved sports and rituals. Perhaps the most striking example is bull leaping. Frescoes show men and women grabbing the horns of a bull, vaulting over its back, and landing on the other side. Whether it was a religious rite, a sport, or a symbolic performance, we may never know. But it reflects agility, bravery, and the close link between animals and spirituality. Music and dance were also central to their lives. We have images of people holding lyres, pipes, and drums, suggesting that celebrations were filled with rhythm and energy. Their art rarely shows battle. Instead, it celebrates nature, joy, and the beauty of life. Another fascinating aspect is their writing systems. The Minoans used two scripts, Cretan hieroglyphs and Linear A. Linear A remains undeciphered to this day. That means we still don't know the exact words they spoke or the stories they told. It is one of archaeology's greatest unsolved puzzles. Later, the Mycenaeans adapted Linear A into Linear B, which has been deciphered. But Linear A itself is still a mystery. The The Minoans remind us that ancient civilizations were not only about war, but also about innovation, trade, and the pursuit of beauty. Every great civilization has its rise, its golden age, and eventually its fall. The Minoan civilization was no different. For centuries, they flourished through trade and cultural strength. But by around 1450 BCE, signs of decline began to appear. The causes were complex, a mixture of natural disasters and outside invasions. One of the most powerful events was the eruption of Thera, modern-day Santorini. Around 1600 BCE, a volcanic explosion devastated the Aegean world. The blast sent tsunamis towards Crete, destroying coastal towns, ships, and farmland. Thick ash may have covered crops, leading to famine and social stress. This disaster alone did not completely end the Minoans, but it weakened them severely. Archaeology shows that many palaces were rebuilt after the eruption, yet the rebuilding seems rushed and unstable. Another factor was the rise of the Mycenaeans on mainland Greece. They were warriors and conquerors. By the mid-1400s BC, the Mycenaeans began to take control of Crete. At Knossos, archaeologists discovered tablets written in Linear B, the Mycenaean script, showing that Minoan lands had shifted into Mycenaean hands. The peaceful trade-based culture of the Minoans was slowly replaced by a more militarized society, and their open palaces were no longer safe. Their fleet was no longer dominant, and their independence was slipping away. By 1200 BC, most Minoan centers were abandoned or under foreign rule. The once bright frescoes faded, the advanced plumbing systems were left unused, and their mysterious writing system stopped being carved. What makes the Minoan decline so fascinating is that it combines the fury of nature with the ambitions of humans. Volcanic fire, towering waves, earthquakes, and invading armies all played a part. And yet, the Minoan spirit did not vanish completely. Their influence flowed into the Mycenaeans and through them into classical Greece. From myths like the Labyrinth to architectural styles to artistic techniques, the Minoan fingerprint still shaped later cultures. Though the Minoan civilization faded more than 3,000 years ago, its influence continues to spark wonder today. Archaeologists often describe them as the first advanced society in Europe. Their art showed harmony with nature, their trade routes connected continents, and their architecture inspired later Mediterranean designs. When we see columns in Greek temples, some believe the idea evolved from Minoan structures. The myths preserved by the Greeks also point back to Crete. The tale of King Minos, the Labyrinth, and the Minotaur may not be literal history, but they reflect echoes of Minoan palaces and rituals. For example, labyrinth-like corridors at Knossos could have inspired stories of endless mazes. Bull-leaping festivals may have been remembered as the terrifying bull-headed beast. In modern times, the rediscovery of Minoan Crete reshaped our understanding of European history. Before the excavations of Sir Arthur Evans in the early 1900s, many believed advanced culture only began with Greece or Egypt. But the Minoans proved that innovation, artistry, and organized society were thriving on Crete long before Athens or Sparta. Today, visitors to Crete can still walk among the remains of Knossos. They can see frescoes of dolphins, lilies, and bull leapers reconstructed with care. Each stone, each painting is a window into how vibrant this society was. Their story also reminds us how fragile civilizations can be. Even the most advanced can fall to disasters, conflicts, or changing times. But their memory lives on, teaching us resilience, creativity, and the power of cultural exchange. All the information we provide comes from verified historical sources, including books, records, and archaeology. Sources used in this research include Sir Arthur Evans, The Palace of Minos, Oxford University Press, 1921-1935. Rodney Castleton, Minoans, Life in Bronze Age, Crete, Routledge, 1908. Panomarinatos, Minoan Religion, Ritual, Image, and Symbol, University of South Carolina Press, 1993. John Chadwick, The Decipherment of Linear B, Cambridge University Press, 58. Archaeological reports from the Heraklion Archaeological Museum, Crete. If you enjoyed this journey through the Minoan world, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel, Thrones of Knowledge. And remember to press the bell icon so you get notified on time. We would also love to hear your suggestions for our next topic in the comment section. Your ideas help us create the best experience for all of you.